Hello and welcome to another video. Today I thought I'd give you a little look at some of my tackle boxes that I use for predator fishing. I've had a few people actually ask me what sort of bits and pieces I like to keep in my box, and what I'm probably going to show you at the moment is my very undergunned boxes, should I say. I haven't replenished these boxes for about 2 years properly. I bought some odds and sods and bits and pieces, but I really do need to replenish these boxes. Now I do have a cart box, a barbel box, and a match box as well. So these are not my only boxes, but these are my predator boxes. So I thought I'd show you just a few of the bits I've got in there, and maybe talk about some of the bits I haven't got that I need to replenish, and possibly why I use them as well. So what we're going to start off to kick it off with, this is my perch box. Probably more known as my perch live baiting box. So the real predator side to perch fishing. So I'll give you a little look. I like to personalise a lot of my stuff. Any of my friends that know me know I've got a thing about personalisation and decals and things. So on this one, as you can see there, I've just got a little perch there. It's just a little personal touch. So I'll take it open and have a little look. So this is my perch live baiting box. This could possibly be used for other things like zander and that as well, or very light pike fishing, but I like to keep a few bits and pieces in here. Now this, like I say, it's very undergunned at the moment. I do need to replenish, but and there's lots of stuff in my perch box that I do need to buy. But we'll start from left to right and we'll work our way through. So in the little boxes, most of my perch fishing is usually done live baiting wise using fluorocarbon on mono hook links. Now obviously, as a good predator angler, and as you should be, you should always have wire traces when pike are present. Now it depends on the venues you go to. If it's predominantly perch with the odd jack here and there, you might get away with using a thicker fluorocarbon, maybe 15 or 20 pound fluorocarbon. Not that I would like to normally use that size, especially for perch, but I've got a couple of 15 pound wire traces made up with single hooks in there, and there's one partridge double in there as well. But it's also, I can use these for eels and that as well. So just a few handy wire traces made up with singles on, just in case. You never know. This has actually saved me a few times. I was fishing a lake in Surrey Keys where there was no pike present at one point until someone had actually put them into the lake, and started fishing it after a couple of years, live baiting for perch, and then I managed to have one of the small jacks of a few that they put in there come rushing out and grab my bait. Lucky for me, I didn't hook him. I didn't lose my rig. He'd rushed out and I'd pulled the rig away from him. But it was he scared the hell out of me because he was right under the pontoon that I was fishing on. So what I did is I just basically whipped one of these on, put the live bait back on, pull it back out, and I had him straight away. So it's always handy to have them. The other box got various different bait stops. So float stops. Sorry. So I like, when I'm purchasing, obviously using lighter lines. So some of these are not perfect. Some of them slip on light lines, like 4 to 6 pound line. There's some Fox ones in there, usually made for heavier line. Let's open it up. So made for heavier line, as you can see. There we go. And these ones here are the Guru ones, which are really dinky, and they hold very well on light line. As you can see below, I've got some Drenham ones and also some Savage Gear ones I've had for knocking around for years. The Savage Gear ones tend to slip, but they're just as backup really. Got various different weights for various different situations. So just Dimsmore leads. I've got some drill bullets and coffin leads, and I think there's a couple of buffer beads in there with swivels. So if I'm fishing, say, touch ledgering, a live bait for perch, I've done that at Framfield Lakes last year, and it was quite successful. I was having fish up to £2.7 out, and I was just smashing them one after another. That was thanks to my mate for taking me there. So I've got various different little bomb leads and that. They come in handy. Moving along, I've got floats, various different floats. Now, some people think they're even too big for perch, but this is my #1 float for live baiting for perch. I absolutely adore Drenham 5 gram bobbers. 7 grams also have their place, and so does a 10 gram. But as soon as you reach 10 gram, for me, you're looking around pike fishing or zander fishing. But these have their place, obviously, in larger predators. Also got some slimmer pikers and also some zepplers, as you can see there. All have their place, but these are the smaller ones you can buy within that range. But for me, they're the number one. Now, I'll show you a little bit later. I've got some other ones. Various swivels I like to keep, just in case. Always have some swan shots. Swan shots are ideal if you just want to not use a drill bullet or anything like that, and you just want to nick one of those on the line. Always come in handy, just handy little bits. I've got various little boxes. These are empty at the moment. They do need stocking up. I need to get some light. I need to devise a lighter Paternoster style rig for my perch fishing, because I am not happy with it. You probably heard me mention that, and probably seen in various early videos that my Paternoster, I wasn't really happy with it, so I started fishing straight through roving live bait setup. I've got really tiny swivels in this one. These are Richworth ones, I believe, that I bought from Decathlon years ago when I was working there. I bought like 10 packs. They were like £1.25 each, and I got loads in there. Really strong, reliable. Use them for my match fishing as well. I've got loads in my match box. Got a couple of beads in there as well. Beads always come in handy, and I like the bright colour beads against the black beads as well. You can use them for just under the stop knot and that as well. If you're using, as an example, not one of those stop knots, or you're tying, say, nylon, so it can go through the tops of the eye of the rod. You know, some of those float stops don't go through the eye very well on the top ring, so you tie on a piece of nylon or a small piece of braid as a stop knot, and it can go through the rings. But the problem is, it can then go through the hole in the top of the float. Because it's so thin, so a bead always comes in handy. We've got a knot puller. There we go. It's just a quarter one. I've got loads of these in my cart boxes. It's just really handy for pulling a rig tight and really getting that knot bunched down. Let's open this up. Got various hook sizes, 4, 6s and 8s for various situations. I said to you a minute ago about different floats. There we go. I've got some loafer chubber floats. A lot of people like to use these floats to live bait in. I think it's one of the classics. A lot of people tend to go for the Force one shot. I've got some 2s, and I think that's a 5 as well, yeah. But that's a 4, and that's what a lot of people like to use. Bearing in mind my other bobbers are 5 grams. So yeah, I like to use those, but I've got to admit, I'm not, you know, I wouldn't say I'm not sold on them. I'm just not really give them a fair go, because I always favour the bobbers. But for low resistance, obviously these are going to be fantastic, because they're thinner, so they're going to get pulled under the water a lot better. Like I say, this is quite an empty box, so I mean, that's my perch box at the moment. I need to buy some hook link material. I need to get it really stocked up. At the moment, my perch fishing is kind of tapered down. My pike fishing and zander fishing is now kicking in, so I'm not too worried about stocking this box up just yet. Plus, I've been out of work for a year. I'll start my new job soon, so you know, I'll have plenty of money to be able to restock all these boxes to everything I want to get. I'm very specific components that I like to use. I don't favour one company over another. So that's the perch box. Okay, nice little box, fits in bags perfectly. Right, coming on to the pike and predator box. First one is my float box. Okay, so I've got many different various floats in here. This is my whole collection at the moment. I did have a lot more, but I'm a very generous person, and I tend to give a lot of my floats away to friends. But you know, I'm not going to go into too much detail on these floats, just to the fact that I've got such a large range of what will cover pretty much any situation, from pencil floats, you know, various different size pencil floats, loaded and unloaded, slimline flight sliders, you know, they're Prowler ones. The other ones are Eddie Turner's. The Zeppler, you saw these earlier on in my perch box. These are slightly larger versions. My all-time favourite float, and it will never be beaten in my opinion, and they're never going to make them again. So if I was you, I've warned you before, go out and buy some more of these, because once they're gone, they're gone. So if you get on eBay, try and buy as many as you can. They're just so versatile. They're fantastic on rivers. They ride the currents really well. You know, I feel that when pike pull them under, even zander, they don't tend to pull them that they feel too much resistance. I've never had that problem. And like I say, I've got a smaller version, so I've got the 40 and the 30. The 30 I'll use for zander or small pike fishing, but proud to make a slightly dumpier version, just as good quality. I've got some real beasts in here. Slimline siders. These ones are what, 30 grams I believe. Yep, 30 grams. Prowler ones. One of my classic favourites that's over the last few years, which has really taken my fancy, are these stubby sliders. Fantastic. Really nice. Pull under lovely. Give you a lovely indication. You can see them a mile off if you've got bad eyesight like me. Most of my floats are between 12 and 30 grams in this box. I don't tend to keep under that. They tend to go in my perch box if need be. Got even larger versions of the Zepplers. Live bait sliders. Live bait sliders are a classic. You can get these in many different forms. There are a few floats in here that you don't see at the moment. I want to add to my collection. I mean, I like the look of the Quorum Duros, I think they're called, Duro bungs, and their slimline sliders. They're quite expensive, but then you do get bait stops, float stops and swivels and bits and pieces in a pack. So it comes as a pack with a trace. I probably won't use a trace. I'll probably keep the traces either for a rainy day or just give them to one of my friends. But the slimlines, the live bait sliders, another versatile float, was my best at one point, and you know, I caught many pike on those. And then got some slightly more specialised floats. These ones here are Sunken Paternoster floats. These are for when you're fishing Paternoster rig, but rather than have it on the surface, you have it below the water, so you can fish these on alarms. So the alarm does the work for you, but you can keep the bait up in one area. So if you're using a live bait, you can also use them with dead baits if you're fishing quite a fast current. So you're just on the slack of a current on a river. So as it bends round, maybe it bends on the arc of a river, and the current starts to slack off, but there's still enough current to move a dead bait, so it just wafts really slowly. Fantastic, caught on many of those. And then the one I've had my biggest pike on, believe it or not, and another one of my favourites. This is the dead bait dart. This is made by Fox, but you can also get these slightly different shapes from Prowler, I believe, as well. But fantastic. So, I mean, that's my float box. There's not much to tell you about floats. I think a lot of it's personal choice and situational. You know, there's a float in there that will cover me most situations, but again, I want to stock this box up. I'm not happy. I like to have things fully stocked, and sometimes I'll go for a year or two without even stocking up any new equipment. So, like I say, I'm back in work, so I'm probably going to spend maybe a few £100 on some new pike bits and pieces, because I do like to have my pike box proper stocked up. More stickers on the front as usual. I could put more on there. I've got loads of stickers. I am planning on actually having my logo made into a sticker form, also a patch form so it can be sewed on, and also some pin badges, and I'd like to have some clothing done. Now, when I get the pin badges, I'm probably going to buy them in batches of 50 or 100, and it's going to cost me a hell of a lot of money. So what I might do, if there's anyone who likes my logo, anyone who likes my support, I might start running, when I get them made, start running a couple of competitions on my Facebook page. Just simple competitions, and then I can send them out to people. So it's just an idea, maybe one for the future. Okay, so that's the float box. Then I come on to my last two boxes. This one is, I love that logo. And that's only a decal. There's a bit of a story behind this one actually. Many moons ago, when I first started predator fishing, Gord Burton, I had a DVD of these, and he was lure fishing at the time, up on Southport, I think it was, on the river crossings, and he had this box with all lures in, and he bigged it up. He made this thing sound like it was the most sacred thing in the world. And I remember on the front of the box, it was like a briefcase box. You opened it up and it had all these bucktail spinners and spoons, Casalo Professor spoons, all that, and the thing looked diabolical. It looked like it was falling apart. But I always remember this massive, great big turning pike that he had on the front of it. And I thought to myself, oh, I want to get that on my box at some point when I'm older. And a couple of weeks ago, I finally managed to find a company on eBay that actually make these. Just put in pike decals and you'll find there's a company that make these. But I'm sure you can find this image. This is quite an image that everybody knows. I'm sure you can find this image and you can probably have them made up yourself if need be. But this company's pretty good. These decals are vinyl and they're very, very strong. Hard wearing, the light doesn't affect them. I think they're waterproof to a degree. So before I show you that, I do have a second pike box. Now you might think, well, why have you got two boxes? The first box is so loaded up with equipment that when I go piking for the day and I don't want to take a lot of equipment and I just want to take a handful of bits and pieces I know I'm going to use on a certain venue, that's where this one comes into play, and you'll see in a moment. So this is my Pike and Zander one, but this is empty at the moment, but it's empty for a reason. I replenish this box with bits I'm going to use on a certain session. Now people think that might be messing around, fannying around, whatever. I personally like to have my gear organised. I'm a very organised angler. So I like to have everything to hand. Okay, it might be messing around. Might take me an extra 10 minutes to load this box up with exactly what I need. But it means that this box can get thrown around, knacked around. I'm not going to get it all scratched up as much. And, you know, okay, we're all tackle tarts at heart, I think, anyway. So I'm not a rough and ready angler when it comes to fishing, even predator fishing, which doesn't really suit that style because most predator fishermen are rough and ready. But I like things to be neat. So this box, yeah, as you can see, this is a quorum box, but I've got to watch my fingers. I've actually got traces. There's about 6 to 8 traces ready made up in this box for when I go on a session, maybe up to Keston. And I'll put maybe 2 or 3 floats in there, a couple of weights, bish bash bosh, that gets thrown in the bag. So it's really, really easy, quick. These boxes are quite durable. Now the box below, which is the same as the float box you saw, is a Box Logic. The Box Logic float box I had, I actually dropped it on the floor and I cracked the top of it. But the problem is, not many float boxes came flat where I could put this really nice decal on. As you can see, these are ridged up, and they're ridged up for a reason, so you can put components on there like swivels and bits and pieces so it don't slide off and falls off onto the grass and you lose it, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the way I like to fish. It's my own personal thing. Everybody's different how they do things, but that's how I like to do it. I will take this box with me if I go away for a couple of days and I'm staying in a bivvy. And I know that it's a water I'm not familiar with. I don't know what way I'm going to tackle it in my own mind. I'll do as much research as possible online and see what I can find out about the place, and then I'll take gear accordingly. If not, this box comes with me. Now this box is heavy because it's full of leads and weights and God knows, all bits and pieces. So I don't like to take this on a day session unless someone's driving or I'm driving. In a couple of months time I'm going to learn to drive, and I ain't lugging it about everywhere. So I'd probably say this is more for when I go, I don't know, lake fishing or gravel pit fishing or something like that for a couple of days and I'm plotting up in one swim. Now there are 2 types of anglers, okay, and I probably would have mentioned this in the future video somehow. There are anglers who like to ambush and there are anglers that like to hunt. Now, I think both have their place. I'm known to be, not just because I'm fat, but I'm known to be an ambusher. I like to set my stall out in a certain swim and wait for the fish to come to me. Keep quiet, sit back from the water, and when the fish come, they'll come. Up until this point, it's done okay for me, but it's never produced that real big gill. And I think that might be because I haven't played the numbers game by going looking for them. Also, I haven't been lure fishing. I'm implementing lure fishing and moving more into my own personal predator fishing now, and I'm hoping it's going to pay off and maybe find me that big gill. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what's in my box now. This is my predominant Pike and Zander box. Now this holds pretty much everything I need, but in saying that, like I have been saying, I do need to replenish this this box. So I'll get all the bits and pieces that I am missing from the box, because there are quite a few. So what we'll do is just start again top right hand corner. It's quite difficult to do this on with a camera in front of me, but this is the box is a Box Logic made by Nashi. Not that it matters what brand it is. I don't do plugging of brands. I just say how it is and what I like to use. But this one here, this is what I keep my ledger stems in. Now you've probably seen ledger stems before. There we go. That's a ledger stem. And what it does is you have a lead on one end and it just holds your bait up above the debris and the crap and the crud on the bottom. So if you're fishing in silty water, or you know, in autumn when the leaves are falling off and they're falling to the bottom of the lake, weed that's dying down, what it does is it doesn't keep your bait above the water. What it does is it keeps your main line above the water. So when the pike picks the bait up, either they sort of put their nose into the weed or the silt to pick the bait out if it's quite heavy, or if it's just a light bait that's just resting on the surface. And then what they'll do is they'll dig it out, run with it, and there'll be no resistance or very little resistance. So these are real handy pieces of equipment. I keep quite a few of them in my box. I've got quite a few in there. I've got some old ones and new versions. The newer versions have got metal rings, whereas the old versions have plastic rings, like the traditional rum ring. And what that does is if you're using braids, sometimes it causes friction against the plastic, and it can actually cut through, I found, especially if you're using fairly sizable leads. Now you can also fish them in conjunction with pop-ups, so they sit well above the weed, and it gives you a nice presentation, a good foot or two above any weed or anything like that. It's got smaller compartments, as you can see. If you can see there, I have my trusty swan shots just in case. In that one I've got some buffer beads that coincide with using the run rings. Various different sleeves. These are the second trace sleeve. I like the longer versions, but these are the second one that goes over the second treble. But I use the longer one for both trebles, as well as I do the swivel. So just some odd ones there. What I do need to do is pick up some more trace sleeves for my bottom deadbait rigs. I probably didn't explain it right. Do you know I told you about the quick catch rig and then the ones that are sleeved over? The reason why I actually like using the sleeve ones, because it keeps everything neat, and I find when it's falling on the bottom and you're laying on the bottom, I find not only it acts as a nice sight, especially if you're using red ones, as well as a bait flag. What it does is it actually it stops weed tangling up in between the eyes of the hook and that, so it's just slightly less tangles. If it actually makes a massive difference or not, I can't really tell you that, but you know, it just gives me peace of mind and confidence. And then in the last one, bait flags. Got some Fox ones, and I've got some free ones from the Angling Smell or Angling Times that I've been collecting for the last couple of years. So you know, all freebies are welcome to a degree. That's my box. You know, like I say, it's Box Logic. This was originally my cart box. I'm now looking for a different. I've got a Fox box, but I don't really like it. F box. I might get the original Royal box, the original Royal F box, Fox box, or whatever they're called. I prefer the original to the newer version, so I might get one of those, or a Wetwood one for my carp fishing. Okay, so the top right corner. There we go. Got different trace wires. I've also got deadbait sticks. That's for popping inside a deadbait. I'll show you some deadbait rigs at some point in the future. I've shown you how to make a basic rig. I'll probably show you how to make a Paternoster rig, how to make an upper trace, and how to make a pop-up rig as well. There's many different ways to do it, and I've got certain ways I like to do it. You know, my mate Dan is a really good piker, a very skilled angler. I showed him a specific way how to pop a bait up, and even he uses it now. And for him to listen to what I do is a big deal, because he's his own man when it comes to angling. So if I do something right, then obviously, and he likes what I'm doing and he's taking it on board, then obviously I'm doing the right thing. I use bait stops now. The quality of bait stops nowadays for keeping afloat at the right depth are second to none. There's some real good ones out in the market, but before that I would use Power Gum. This is a very old one, you can tell by the branding on the front. This is a Fox Power Gum. Doesn't matter, any power gum will do. And this is what I use to tie my stop knots with. It's just a green, subtle green. I tried to get red, but they didn't have it at the time. What's good about stop knots is when you cast out, especially into coloured water, if you set it over depth, you can actually see, as long as you keep a tight line to a degree, you can actually see how over depth you've made it between the top of the float, where the float's sitting, and where the stop knot is. So, you know, having those colour stop knots and beads, they really do help sometimes on certain lakes, or I wouldn't say so much rivers because of the current and the flow, but you know, it's one of those little things that just gives you the edge. Okay, so I've got various different boxes. We'll start with this one. This one has got some Paternoster components at the top. I've got quite a few of those already made up in a different container, so they're just added extras, spares. I've got some John Roberts boom stems, and I've also got these Fox. I've got these Fox pop-up or kebab rig style rig. Don't know what you call them. Stems, I suppose. I don't know. If I just show you the pop-ups, that's half a pop-up, and what they do is they'd thread through that, and it would, you know, it'd keep it up, and you'd thread the bait onto that. But I also use those for my for my catfishing, because I think it holds a piece of meat very well as well, and you can hair rig it as well. Maybe I'll show you that rig at some point. I've got a picture of it somewhere, but I can't for the life of me think of where it is, and it's actually really, really effective. Again, Dan liked the style or the way I did it. By showing him that, I think he's probably going to incorporate that in his fishing at some point. But I want to get them for barbel fishing as well. That's a smaller Fox polyball. Okay. So polyballs come in different sizes and shapes for different size dead baits and stuff like that. So I haven't used polyballs for years. Right. This is my little gold mine of, I've got some Fox, not Fox, partridge doubles. These are smaller ones for maybe perch fishing. Well, no, I wouldn't say perch fishing, maybe zander and pike fishing. Very, very sought after and hard to come by now. And I've got 8s, 6s and 4s in partridge trebles. I think these are the CS9s or something. They're the old salmon hooks that Gord Burton used to use, and some of the big pike anglers back in the early 90s and late 80s. They're fully barbed. I have got a debarb crimper tool in now, which I'll show you in a minute, and that's what I would use to crush those down if I use them now. They're about £7 or £8 a pack back in the day, and I bought 50 quid's worth. So these are the brand new that I've not used yet, and I'm kind of using them, saving them for a rainy day. So I do need to not only get some more crimps, some crimp covers, I need to buy some more hooks as well. So I'll just get some bulk standard carbon trebles, maybe the Prowler ones that I'm really quite happy with at the moment that's on the market. I also use the Drenham Super Strongs. I've actually got some Drenham size 10s that I use for zander. These are what I was catching on all my zander up on the fens, size 10s. Most people use 8s and that for zander, but I managed to get all these really dinky size 10s. There wasn't many around at the time. Got hold of them and they worked a treat, and that's what I have my biggest zander on an eel section. So, selection of hooks there. This is my biggest box. If I can get it out. This was originally a chod box, but I took the chod section out. And it's got various leads in there. It's got some more trace wire that springs open, so I just stuck it in there. And as you can see, these are debarbers, so you can crush any barbs or maybe treble. So if you're lure fishing and you've got someone new and you're using plugs, or you're not confident, just crush down the barbs on them. You know, it's not always the best thing to do. I like doing it because I just find that I'd rather lose fish than get it stuck in my hand. I've had 2 plugs in my hand when I first started predator fishing, and I've had to go to hospital, and trust me, it's no joke at 2 in the morning, having to cut your own hand open because the doctor couldn't do it after he's give you about 5 or 6 injections in there. So trust me, it's not a very nice thing. And I've got some leads as well, so various 2.5 ounce leads with rum rings on them. Like, you can fish direct to the line, but like I say on ledgering, I like to use the ledger stems. This is my small box. I'm not going to go too in depth in it. We've got various components in there. So you've got dead Baitcasting Clips. Again, I'll show you how to use those in the future. Very underrated products. You don't see anyone using them. I never see anyone using them anymore. I'm not going to plug it, but it is a Fox product. I don't know if any other companies sell them. I've got various clips and snap snap clips and things like that. I've got some swivels on beads, which are really good for making, again, for run rings, if you wanted to make a low resistant run ring, or you wanted to make some sort of Paternoster if you're running out of bits and pieces. But the kits in the Fox one, it's got it all there for you. Other brands are available. And I've got some swivel clips, so you can undo your traces really quick and put a new trace on a blink of an eye. And I've got some plastic run rings as well. So various little components, and I need to buy some swivels as well. And this one, egg sinkers, no introduction. Again, you'll probably notice that a lot of my products are Fox, but I do use other products. I don't just stick to one product. I'm not one of those people. But Fox, unfortunately, do make fortunately or unfortunately, they do make a lot of Predator tackle. So, and I've been using a lot of their tackle for years. So there you go. Swivel, crimps. These are Slim crimps from Drenham. These are the 40 to 66 pound. These are the largest of the 3 sizes you can get. I like these ones in particular because I like to use slightly thicker wire for most of my pike fishing. These are very slim, regardless of the breaking strain, and what I find is they give a nice, neat, snug fit when I'm making my quick trace and I'm doubling over the wire, or even trebling over the wire. I can get a nice snug fit on them. But there are other companies out there that make some really good crimps, but you know, you will not go far wrong with Drenham crimps, and I've been using them since I first started pike fishing, basically. Don't know how long they've been around, but a long time. Coloured beads, I need to replenish that stock. I've had these for about 4 or 5 years. I'm starting, you know, this, believe it or not, that started off, that amount there started off in a massive bag, and over the years I've lost them, give some away, and you know, put them in other boxes and God knows what. So I need to buy, they're cheap enough on eBay, you can pick those up, sea anglers and stuff. More odd crimps. Got some plastic size 10, I think, beads. Originally I got these beads for jerkbait fishing. So when I went to islands, what you would do is you'd put these on before the trace, and when you cast out, sometimes when you're not looking, you can get that caught, you can get that trace, the swivel of the trace, caught up on the top rod ring eye, and it can damage the eye. What this does is just buffers it. So if you're not watching, or you bring that bait in quite quick to the boat and you get a fish follow, you know, and you find it hard that you don't want to continue reeling, and then you start doing a figure of 8 or something like you would for muskie, you know, you'd feel peace of mind because you'd have that on the end. But the beads are coming handy. I'm going off track a little bit now what I'm talking about. Yeah, these ones here, these are some more poly balls. These are just made by Prowler. Nice different shape, get pulled into the mouth of the bait. If you imagine that the head sitting upright, they get pulled into the bait. Quite nice. So when I do some pop-up videos at some point, which I'm sure I'll do, I'll show you how to pop up a dead bait and do it various ways, 3 or 4 different ways. But I have one major way that I tend to stick to now because it works for me and it seems to work for other people that tends to see how neat that rig is. So that's those. Not much left now. I know it's been a long video, so please bear with me. There's nothing in these boxes down in the bottom left. Let's move that box up. So there's nothing in those yet. Some more of those clips that I was telling you about. And then, do you remember, I don't know if I've told you, I might have told you in another video, about talking about sardines, keeping them on the hook. Well, this elastic, this is sea elastic, again made by Fox. And what you do is you can bind it on, it'll actually keep the bait onto the hook. Chase blades, ultra sharp, got a couple of pairs of them, got pairs elsewhere. Crimping tool, never leave home without it. I don't like twisting my baits, my rigs anymore. I never twist rigs, I always crimp. I never liked crimping to start with, and when my mate showed me, a different mate of mine showed me how to crimp, and I saw just how strong it was, and I had a couple of my twists open up, maybe because I wasn't doing it right. I got on the crimps. Never use anything other than, when you're popping up baits, you've got some baiting needles, so you can pull the poppers through and things like that, so they come in really handy. Also when I go catfishing, again for putting the meat on the hook, but I've got loads of them. So I mean, that's pretty much the contents of my box. It's quite a lot in there, it's quite heavy, and I'll probably say it's only, believe it or not, 60 to 70% full. I normally have a lot more bits and pieces in that. Really I need 2 boxes So I might even buy a second one of these boxes to have for extra stuff, because being a predator angler, I take my predator fishing not more seriously, but I like to have a lot more bits and pieces. You know, I want everything to hand, and any situation I can call on, I know I have it. You know, if you want to be honest, if I'm going to be honest, you don't need half of this to go pike fishing. You know, some of this stuff is specialist for specialist situations. You know, there was a situation where I went fishing, as an example. You know, most people would set up a float with a lead, either fish it on the bottom or up in the water with a trace, and that would be as simple as what pike fishing can be. But I was fishing a canal down in Kent one day, and the fish were not coming in close. I could only catch them on the far bank. Now, in order for the bait to stay there, I had to use a Paternoster rig, but the fish wasn't taking down, they were taking up in the water. We caught a few fish on the bottom and mid-water, but they was taking on the surface. So I had to devise a rig and make a rig that would specially fit that situation. I'd never use it anywhere else. So I had to mess around trying to set up a special Paternoster rig with a very long towel, 8 or 12 foot, I can't remember what it was, towel, and fish literally 6 inches under the surface, because this is where the pike were taking. So there's everything in that box that I can sort out a situation if need be. Now, thank you for your patience for watching this video. You know, it is an insight into my box. I don't know how long the running time is. It's probably over 30 minutes now. But just wanted to show you a little bit in my box. I did have a couple of requests asking me what I like to have in my box, and you know, I wouldn't say the average pike angler, but I would say the average semi-serious predator angler who likes to have everything in their box. And this is just how I do it. So, you know, all you need is a handful of bits and pieces if you want to go basic pike fishing. But if you want to cover all situations and you're fishing in all types of water, it's nice to stock up on bits and pieces like this. But like I say, thanks for watching, and hopefully you can join me on a new video soon. So I have a couple of trips actually coming up. So thank you very much for watching.